Damn. A Sam O'Nella 7-minute video about scandalous popes that I haven't seen? You know we got to check that. It's only 7 minutes.
Share.
Too fucking loud.
Hey kids, time to alienate 23.9% of the United States from my potential audience, because today, we're talking popes. Now don't get me wrong, the modern papacy is a great thing. Just a genuinely virtuous man being elected to govern and set an example for Christians everywhere, that's awesome. But back in the day, not so. See, in the Middle Ages, the church was one of the greatest powers in the Western world, having massive influence over monarchs and laymen alike. And as we know, with great...
If it helps you understand, they were kind of like the streamers of their day. If that makes sense. They just had this real influence. Like they could sell G Fuel at a moment's notice. They could move units of merch. They could rug pull a crypto coin. You know, this is the kind of thing. This is the kind of thing.
Power comes great tomfoolery. Here's some of the...
And they could also, yeah, they could save your eternal soul, which is what a streamer does nowadays. Nowadays, if you're someone who wants eternal salvation, you don't turn to the church, you turn to your local streamer. Because they can offer you that salvation. Bless you, be healed. Okay, right now, all of you are forgiven for your sins. Done. I just did it.
Less wholesome popes that history has to offer. Pope Stephen VI assumed the pontificate in May of 896, during a time of great instability for the papacy, where rulers and families of all different shapes and sizes were vying for influence over the Catholic Church. As such, successive popes from this period often had different ideas about how things should be run. Stephen, for example, didn't much care for Pope Formosus, the guy...
Yeah, I want to recreate, what were they called that Martin Luther protested? I'm going to create... You have to pay a Prime sub to get saved. Indulgences. I'm going to recreate indulgences. I'm sorry, but like, I don't have time to save everybody. So we're going to have to just save, there has to be a priority list. Poop City 5000. Be blessed. Thank you for the Prime. Thank you for the 8 months, Poop City 5000. You truly are one of God's chosen, and you are healed and saved. Can't putt 20 months. That's a lot. Thank you so much. You indeed are one of God's chosen. You are also healed and saved. Gav Box, thank you for the 30. Lord, light be upon you. May XQC's light be upon you. But let's hear about Pope Formosus.
Before things should be run. Stephen, for example, didn't much care for Pope Formosus, the guy before last. Why? It's complicated. Even if I could wrap my head around all this, it'd probably be boring as hell. So just take it on good faith that Steve had a lot of beef with Formosus. Okay. So much beef, or as we call it, papal bull, that Stephen couldn't even be happy that the dude was already dead. So he had the 8-month-old corpse of Formosus dug up, dressed up in pope clothes, sat down on a throne, and literally put on trial, with a deacon appointed to give all his responses for him. So you thought you could get away from the law with that little dying stunt of yours. Well, tell me, Mr. Thrombosis, did you violate canon law, commit perjury, and pretend to be a bishop when you weren't? Yes, pasta fazool, I am a fool. I've heard all I need to hear. This court finds you guilty, and everything you did as pope, we legally declare to be fake and dumb and stupid and dumb. Now throw him in the river. What? The river? Can he do that?
They weakened at Bernie's a dead pope to go on trial to defend himself? This is what we should... That's what we should have done for Joe Biden in the debate, dude. We should have had someone else pulling Joe Biden like a puppet string and talking. And another thing, Donnie, we're not going to stand up to your bullshit.
See the hat? That means I'm Pope. P-O-O-P Pope. You better 3-point that bitch into the briny deep right quick, or I'm going to raise hell.
Someone said alley cat. I forgot about that. I forgot how often Joe Biden was trying the alley cat line. He's got the morals of an alley cat. He did it like 10 times, and it wasn't hitting with anyone. I forgot about that. At least I don't have the morals of an alley cat. Who the fuck? That shit was so funny. That shit was so funny. It was like such a fucking 1950s bar. He was right. Dude, he was right. We're all realizing what the morals of an alley cat really are. And we should have listened to old Sleepy Joe. Major Biden.
Metaphorically, so they throw him in the river. This whole thing caused an uproar among Formosa's supporters, and after Formosas's corpse was allegedly seen performing miracles at the riverbank, Stephen ended up being overthrown, imprisoned, and executed by strangulation.
Jesus.
The body, now slimy and disgusting, was fished out of the Tiber and reinterred in St. Peter's Basilica, where it rests to this day. Next, we'll talk about John the 12th. This guy already looks like one of my characters. Why don't we just,
Dude, getting mogged by the dead pope that you dug up and puppet stringed is crazy. Losing a battle to the dead pope. Losing a battle for public opinion with the dead pope in a river is a bad look. I would say that's an overall colossal L.
There you go. This guy ascended to the throne when he was just 18 years old, which is insane. If I was elected world's biggest hat wearer at that age, you better believe things would get real unpapal real quick. I'm talking gambling, hookers, setting fires, and toasting to the devil. And wouldn't you know it, these are all things John the 12th did. It's said that he took the sacred palace and literally made it into a whorehouse. Matter of fact, while researching the guy, I stumbled across this list of sexually active popes. This is a real Wikipedia.
That's how you knew about it. we literally solved the mystery from earlier live. Holy shit. That's how you knew about it. Caught. What a callback. Holy fuck. I wonder what you said to me. I didn't read your response, but I wonder if you leaned into it, because that'd be kind of fun. If you were like, yeah, I guess I just am a bit quirky, that's fucked up. If we find out that you pretended like you just happenstanced on it, then you should have been honest about where you...
Wikipedia article. Take a hike, toilet paper orientation. Daddy's got a new favorite. John is featured prominently on this list, of course. He had a thing for widows for some reason. Personal...
Retroactive theoretical bashing. That's what I'm thinking. I'm inventing a scenario where I bash you and then I'm bashing you for it. You didn't even do it, maybe. Grim, thank you for the 23 months. Appreciate it. That's funny.
I'm featured prominently on this list, of course. He had a thing for widows for some reason. Personally, I'm not big on weepy old hags.
Here's a pro tip. If you ever meet a widow in real life, don't call her a weepy old hag. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be your thing. Just not a appropriate way of discussing people. So this Pope is sexually active and was attracted to widows. Okay.
I'm more of a carefree young hag type of guy, but to each their own. He also banged his niece a bunch, which not the most virtuous act, but you know, Middle Ages and bloodline, fucking whatever. His playboy lifestyle eventually caught up to him though, leading to the Synod of Rome, where everyone got together to talk about what a piece of shit he is so they could kick him off the throne. Besides all the deviancy, there was a lot of things they had problems with. For one, someone once offered John some money to ordain a 10-year-old as a bishop, and he was just like, alright, I would have done it for free, honestly. Look how big those robes are on him. That's hilarious. He also had a deacon ordained in a horse.
Totally unrelated. If you prime to me, I will make you a Catholic bishop right now in the Church of Streaming. Just totally unrelated, but that is on my abilities list. Grim, congratulations. You are now a bishop. What an honor and a privilege.
Stable, just like, oh, for fuck's sake. All right, let's get this over with. Shouldn't we be doing this in like a church? Listen, bucko, if it's good enough for Jesus to be born in, it's good enough for you to have your little cardinal party. No, sir, not cardinal, he's just a deacon. Not if you keep running your mouth, you aren't. He also liked going on hunting trips now and then, generally considered to be something popes don't do. Although my suspicion is that they were just tired of cleaning his big stupid camo hat every time. Probably his worst act, though, was putting on a helmet, followed closely in second by the time one of his subdeacons got on his nerves, so he literally cut off his dick and murdered him. So between all this and some conflicts with Otto I of the Holy Roman Empire, John was uncanonically ousted in 963. Except as soon as Otto left Rome, nobody was there to pressure him off physically anymore.
I haven't read the Bible cover to cover, but I'm not sure that Christ would smile upon cutting off another person's dick and balls and murdering them. Is there a page in there where he was chill with it? He would say based. Do you mind? I'm not an expert. I'm just gonna ask ChatGPT real quick. Hey, ChatGPT. You are an expert on the Bible. Okay? What would Jesus say about cutting off someone's dick and balls and then killing them? Would he smile upon it or frown upon it? Jesus would certainly frown upon such an act. The act you're describing is unequivocally against the core teachings of Jesus. Jesus would categorically condemn such violence and cruelty. Love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Interesting. Do you mind if I ask it, are you sure? Are you sure? Absolutely. All right. I guess AI can be wrong, you know? In one well-known example, John 8:1-11, Jesus prevents the execution of a woman condemned by the crowd, insisting instead upon mercy and forgiveness, saying, let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. I've heard that. I just feel like, not to denigrate Jesus here, I feel like we should have a modern American Christian rewrite the Bible. Because this feels a little woke, what I'm reading. These things I'm reading are a little woke, a little fucking, little floofy. Put your sword back in its place. For all those who draw the sword will die by the sword. Love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. This all sounds a little, feels kind of cringe. Jesus was a pushover. I'm just saying, based on this Bible, Jesus was a bit of a carpet, dude. He got walked over. He gets passed over for promotion, and he's like, oh, you know what? You deserve the job anyway. And it's like, bro, step up, bro. And that's where Passover comes from. Jesus didn't get the corner office, and they gave it to fucking Kevin. Anyway, I'm going to hell. Let's see what we got here.
More. So John was like, lol, just kidding. Rounded up all his groupies, kicked the new pope off the throne, and continued his role like nothing happened by early 964. But just a few months later, fate caught up with John, and he died the way he lived, committing adultery. Now let's be real. We all have our little guilty pleasures in life. Some people like a nice bag of Cheetos. Ooh. Others like scented candles.
Okay.
Or poorly drawn educational videos.
Okay.
Alexander VI liked watching horses fuck. According to Vatican chronicler Johann Burckhardt, he would specifically arrange for his stallions to be introduced to
it's just so funny that the Vatican chronicler, he must have done it so often they had to write that down. It had to be such an important part of his personality and life that they had to write that down for his fucking biography, for his chronicle. Because you'd think if it wasn't his main thing, they'd be like, all right, the man's dead, leave that out. It's probably best for everyone if you just leave that out. But it was like, we can't ignore it. So it was so core to his identity that if we leave it out, we're not even...
mayors in heat outside his palace, and he'd stand up on his...
He was the original my horny ass couldn't work in a zoo guy. Yeah. Yes, he was.
Balcony to watch him violently mate, which just tickled him pink for some fucking reason, and he'd laugh uproariously during the entire spectacle. He also once threw a party in the palace called the Banquet of Chestnuts, also referred to as the Joust of Whores. Wait a minute. Horse jousting, horses banging, Was dyslexia a thing back then? Nah, but during the banquet, Alexander had 50 of Rome's finest raggedy harlots line up and strip down for him and his guests, which, by the way, included 2 of his children, which, by the way, he had many children, but at this point hardly a concern. Guests began throwing chestnuts at the ladies, who got down on their hands and knees and scrambled frantically, like the cook at Denny's when
feels so tough to do this and then to open up the Bible. Talk about loving thy neighbor and kindness to, you know what I'm saying? I feel like people around you could notice some discrepancies between your actions.
They held him at gunpoint, trying to collect as many as they could. After this went on for a while, Alexander was like, alright kiddos, game time. Whoever can bang the most broads before the night's over wins Rome's finest silks, and the only condition is that anybody who makes a joke about nutting on someone's chest gets disqualified. It's too easy. This is all according to that one Johann guy, mind you. Some secondary sources differ pretty significantly on the more lurid details of all this, so do take it with a grain of salt. But at the same time, this guy was the official record taker for the ceremonies he was involved with, so it seems equally likely to me that the other guys just wanted to save a bit of face, but who knows. In the end, primary sources are usually the most reputable source of information. After all, what better way to learn about stuff than from people who have direct experience in the subject? That's why you need to try Skillshare.
Holy, good transition. Good transition. Pope freak-offs are crazy. I would agree with that. I would agree that I think even a mild Pope freak-off is crazy because they shouldn't be having freak-offs. You know what I'm saying?